of Motor City Woman is all about putting a spotlight on women, but also creating an avenue and a platform for women to really lead the life that they deserve. So we're going to get into tonight's guest because I'm excited. And if you logged on earlier, you heard me laughing and falling out in my seat because she is that funny. She's currently the executive vice president of the Mosaic Youth Theater. However, she has a stellar career in working at various organizations where she's been a trailblazer in several different sectors, in fact. And that's really why I wanted to have her on, because she has just a wealth of knowledge and experience, not just in one sector, but in various different sectors. So the reason that I wanted to talk to her was, how do you navigate that while staying true to yourself and kind of identifying that career path? I speak to a lot of young ladies, and unfortunately, coming up, right, I wouldn't want to be 20 years old in today's society. I'll just say that, because you have so much outside media influence. You got the 24-hour news cycle, and they're telling you what to do, what to say, how to dress, the career path you should follow, and what's in and what's not. And,
yes.
I really like to highlight the women who've been there, done that, and just will give to me straight, no chaser. So I want to welcome Dr. Rita Fields to the Motor City Woman Wednesday.
Hi, y'all, wherever you are. Hi.
Okay, I'm going to jump right in. Oh, first, let me say congratulations on your upcoming nuptials. I almost forgot.
Thank you.
Very welcome. So you just have a few projects going on.
Yes. Yeah, a few. That's a big one. Mm-hmm. And thankfully, he's very supportive. So he's assisting me in this endeavor because let's just say he needs to. Yeah.
Well, they said that your partner should be your biggest fan.
Yes. Mm-hmm. I am blessed. He's wonderful.
Yeah. Okay. So what people may or may not know is that, your personal journey, from what I picked up, was from you being a single mom at one point, homeless at one point, and also, had you left school or you just weren't in school?
I dropped out of high school.
You had dropped out of high school.
Yes.
I know this would be a huge summary, but when did you make up in your mind that you wanted more from life? And, so how did you make that transition?
Yeah, so that's a big question. I think, so I dropped out when I was on 17 years old.
Mm-hmm.
And that was really hard. And then deciding to go back was really hard because I had this baby, and it was really, really difficult. And to be honest, I started moving forward. I decided to go back to high school to finish my high school career. And then I decided to go to college, and I decided to do those things because I had a baby.
Okay.
So it wasn't, I did not dream. I don't think I really started dreaming until I was about 38.
Wow.
Yeah.
So you were just on autopilot, basically.
Yes. I was doing everything I felt like I needed to do, and I had this kid. So I figured I needed to be educated, so I just started going to school, and I never stopped, really. So that's how it worked. And then one day I woke up and realized that I'd still been really trying to claw my way out of a life where I had a pretty close proximity to eating out of the garbage can.
Wow.
And I had been doing that until I was like about 38. And then I realized I didn't have everything I did to sort of make sure that I was secure, but I didn't really I had never allowed myself the luxury of dreaming. So I didn't start that until then. I didn't really do anything about it for a very long time. Yeah. So that's that. And then once I did start thinking about it, I started to realize I was really unhappy. I had this big executive job. I was a big vice president I'm going to use one of Wheel of Fortune's lines, at a large healthcare entity in the what they always say on Wheel of Fortune. I'm like, what's wrong with name? You can't throw a plug out, but whatever. So I was a vice president at a large healthcare organization within the Midwest, and I absolutely despised my job. I hated it. I used to, and I knew I hated it for a while, but I sort of ignored it. I read once the stat that said that once you realize that you hate your job, on average, the typical person still works that job for 5 years.
I believe it.
Hate, not dislike, hate it. I'm going for 5 years, right? And so I would sit in the parking lot and pray before I actually went up to the door. It was that, and it wasn't that my job was hard. I mean, I had been in HR and business operations for 20 years. I could do it in my sleep, but I had absolutely no joy in it for a multitude of reasons. Worked for, a big company, couple of big companies, and they were great companies. It was just that I hated my job. And so I was so disconnected from myself that it took me, when I think it took me about a year or a year and a half to actually figure out the 3 things I did want to do with my life. And this is going to sound like really lame, because those 3 things were traveling, reading, and writing. It took me a year and a half to figure that out. And so once I know that's bad. You in the woods when you can't, that's all you can come up with.
What do I like to do?
I know. That's right. Like, what?
What do I do for fun?
I don't have fun. That's it. I have a loser life, and that's what I had. And so once I realized that, my goal was to create a life that allowed me to do those things. And that was really it. So I ended up, I had done adjunct teaching on the side, and I became a full-time professor, and I'm still a full-time professor at Madonna. Full-time professorship is like half-time of a normal job. It's like the best hustle in town, I have to tell you, one of them. And I am a hustler. And I'm also executive vice president at Mosaic Youth Theater Detroit, and I have my own consulting business. So it allows me to do each of those 3 things fairly frequently. I like to travel outside of the country at least a couple times a year, 2 to 3 times a year. And I do that. And it's a beautiful thing. So that's how I started to venture towards this side of the universe.
Okay, and you just said a lot. So what strategies did you use, though, in getting to the point where you now realize you need to have multiple streams of income to live those 3 things that you initially said, okay, I need to have these 3 things? What strategies did you use to achieve that? Because I'm sure there's a lot of people that say, yeah, I would love to have the means and the time to do the things that I love. How do I get there?
Yeah. So the journey is different for everybody, but for me, I just started, first I had to allow myself to dream, and then I had to start doing some investigating, and I started paying attention to the world that I lived in. And I checked out the travel thing, and and I tell people this all the time and they don't believe me, but you can actually put trips on layaway, so to speak, right? So you could put a deposit down, a few $100s.
Yeah.
And plan it a year out, and you can just pay it as you go. So it's not like you have to, walk in, hello, I'd like to drop $6,000 and go to Africa. I mean, you can do that, but I have never done that. And I don't know people who do. And so I started doing it that way. And then I started to pay attention to the situation that I found myself in. And I started to realize that a lot of corporate America is a very interesting place. There's a lot of fear in corporate America, a lot of it. And a lot of people make very strange decisions because of that fear. And so I started to pay attention to the fact that people were just really afraid to lose their jobs, right?
Yeah.
And then when you only have one job, that is not an unhealthy or unreasonable fear that, someday you could get replaced. And so I started thinking to myself, what would I do if I didn't have any fear of losing my job? What would I want to do? How would I want to feel secure? And so I made a promise to myself that I would never have a sole source of income again.
Mm-hmm.
I never work for one employer again, and I
Mm-hmm.
won't, God willing. It certainly won't be my desire to, because that takes away that whole sense of trepidation that you'd have to do something new
Yeah.
when you realize that you have other options. And sometimes they can start out small. I didn't just jump on and start my consulting firm. I started it, but I started it while I had a job, right? So, I've worked with small business entrepreneurs just like you have. And, sometimes some of the biggest failures are when people just sort of jump out into the deep and they realize they can't swim while they're drowning. That's not cool.
Right.
So
Well,
yeah, no. So I didn't want to do that. And so I really just I made sure that I saved as much as I possibly could.
Mm-hmm.
And I just started taking small steps towards my life. But I realized that once I realized that I was eventually going to get out, I immediately started feeling better. I had all sorts of stress related symptoms. I had gained weight, like 30 pounds, and I didn't even realize I wasn't even eating. So I'm thinking, how am I gaining weight? I don't have time to eat. And my physician told me, well, you're hungry. And so your body is storing it. So I had all of these. I was getting headaches, ulcers, right? So I knew something had to change. And so I just sort of started walking in that direction a little bit at a time.
So really, it was that you had to, what I call courage over fear.
Yes.
Where the courage is just a little bit more than the fear. That you don't have the fear.
Right.
It's just that the courage is a little bit more than the fear, where you just keep going and keep going. Like, I'm just going to keep going.
Yes.
Because I see the life that I want.
Yes.
That's like I always laugh when in January I get all these invitations to vision board parties.
Oh, yes.
And nothing against vision board parties.
Yes.
But like around this time, late February, I'm like, okay, so what are we doing with the vision boards? Yeah. What are we doing? And actually I saw someone that did a workshop, what to do with your vision board. Okay, put some action steps, a timetable.
Okay.
Some deliverables. What are we, what are we doing? But
yeah, I don't have no vision board. I just don't. I think the concept is solid.
Yeah.
I just ain't got one. That's all. I mean, so I just
now I don't have a vision board. However, I do have at my bedside what I would like my life to look like in 10 years.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, what I would like it to feel like.
Okay.
So kind of like the trajectory that I want to go on. And then I come back and say, okay, what do I need to be doing in 2016 so that, I'm able to send my girls to the school that I want to send them to, so that I can do this, so I can do that. Travel is up there, supporting some nonprofits and things of that nature are different items on there. So I see what you say when you listed what are the top 3 things that I would like to do, and so how do I get there so that that's my life and it's not just a daydream of mine where I'm like, gosh, I would love to travel more. I've just looked at some magazines all the time and dream. Or you can take some action and say, okay, I need to make some hard choices here.
Well, and part of it was me realizing that all of my life up until that point, I had lived it in fear. All of it. I was running from that garbage can, right? And it is a weight, and you pay a price for that. And so the price that I paid is I had really sublimated anything that I wanted for myself. I didn't even have the ability to understand why I was unhappy about certain things. Why is it that I hated my job so much? It took me that long to even figure that out. And so once I realized that, and I realized how far I come, I just didn't ever want to do that anymore. And I didn't want to live a life where, I know people who are older and they're actually not even that old. Okay. And they're already expressing this life of regret, and you're like 50 years old. I'm like, whoa, really? I do not, to me, that's a nightmare. And so I don't want to live like that. And so what do I have to do to not live like that? That was really
Yeah, I get that. I get that. I think that in a lot of cases, I don't know about your family, but in my family, it was you go to school, you get a good job, and you work there forever. Basically, you work there until you retire.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's it. So, and I was joking with my mom. I said, "Mom, you had one job your entire life. I've already had like six." So
Wow. She had one job?
yeah, she retired from the state of Michigan. She took a test when she was what, 18, 19.
Wow.
And just kind of went from one thing, to file clerk, to this and to that, and she rocked it out for 32 years.
Wow. Too
And
bad
she's
she
still
didn't run for
young.
governor.
What'd you say?
Too bad she didn't run for governor. We could have used her.
That's another blab.
Yeah.
That's another topic.
That's the undercover blab.
Right. That's after dark.
Blab after dark.
That's a blab after dark. We can go there if you want to go there. I'm trying to live in the light.
That's right. Living the light.
We're living in the
Yes,
light.
Light.
So, I think that the main difference in the generations has been that I've seen, and then even talking to my grandfather, that was like, basically I picked the wrong major in college, and he was like, you should have picked the major where, you were going to make more money, because my career has primarily been working with nonprofits.
Oh, yeah.
And I've really enjoyed it, and no one in my family understood. I was like, you volunteered at a nonprofit. You don't work at a nonprofit. You volunteer your time.
Interesting viewpoint.
Yeah, that's what they say. You volunteer. You don't work there. So it was a year ago that I kind of came to the realization that you came to, that like, this is it. If I'm going to be happy, it starts today. I can't say, okay, well, when they get out of high school, I do this. Or when they get here, I'll do this. Oh, I want to wait until they get, no, we're going to just start taking baby steps and start moving confidently in the direction of my dreams.
That's basically right.
That's what this is all about. So, and I see that that's what you did. And one thing that I wrote down that you said was, first, allow yourself to dream. Yeah. So in those years prior, you were just so on grind mode to make sure you didn't go back to that trash can, that you were, nope, and then I get my PhD, and then I get this, and
yes. Check.
Exactly. Yeah. Check. You look up and it was like, this isn't what I thought it was.
Yeah, and check this. I have to tell you this story. I have to share this story because this was so profound to me. I have a beautiful friend, Dr. Gail Parker, who I was talking to one day. And I told her, I said, I feel really weird because I don't have any goals. And she said, well, what do you mean? I said, I don't have no life goals. And she said, you don't have any life goals. I said, not one. And she said, okay. She said, so why do you have to have life goals? I said, because everybody has life goals. Everybody and their mama got goals. They got books and they have things they want to do. And I don't have any. All the stuff that I wanted to do, I did, and I don't have anything else left on my list.
I'm good.
And she said, so what's wrong with having no goals? And I said, well, I just feel like I'm a slacker. Like, who has no goals? Should I just come up with stuff to have? Right. And she said, so let me ask you something. Who does the caterpillar want to be? And I said, a butterfly. And she said, right. So who does the butterfly want to be? And I said, they don't have to be anything. They're a butterfly.
Right.
Yeah, exactly. You don't have to have no goals. I said, that's right. I'm a freaking butterfly. That's right. That's right. I ain't got no goals. I thought that was awesome. It helped me so much.
That is awesome.
That was not me. That was Dr. Gail Parker in all her brilliance. Absolutely.
Let me jot that down and make sure if I ever use that story, I reference her.
Yes. She's a monster.
Yeah. She's a monster.
In a good way. She's a beautiful monster.
Right. I got you.
Yeah.
She's a beast.
Yes.
I got you. Okay. So one of the questions I had was, there's always a level of focus and strategy when it comes to attaining, and seeking the life, that you deserve and that you desire. You can't just say, well, this is what I want to do. We've gone over, you've kind of shared some of the steps that you took, but what were some of the things that you had to work on internally to kind of give yourself permission that I'm not going to have the safety and security of a 9-to-5, but I'm really going to step out and create this new life where I can then travel when I want, read when I want, write when I want, and have the flexibility that having a traditional job just doesn't offer.
Yeah. So first of all, there's no such thing as safety and security with a 9-to-5 job. Being in HR for as long as I've been, that is an illusion. It is not like your mom is an anomaly. Right. From a professional standpoint, that is a joke. I mean, I have hired thousands and fired hundreds. And I fired people that were really good at their job, but for whatever reason, just got bounced, right? And so that there is no security there. I knew that. And I also started paying attention to what was happening around me. So I sort of became a scientist in my own life. And I noticed that I would say something or I would suggest something. I was doing all sorts of stuff and I was getting paid a salary for it. But when the consultants came in and they expressed things, then it was like, oh, yes. And I'm like, wait a minute, I just said that.
Right. I
started thinking to myself, well, if they're saying the same thing I'm saying, how come I can't be a consultant? Why can't I be a subject matter expert? And so I started to affirm myself. I started to realize that a lot of the things that I was doing in corporate America, I was doing without very much assistance at all from my employers. And they were getting all the credit for it, which is perfectly fine. But then I started to wonder about what my real hourly rate would be if I were charging for my expertise the way that the consultants did. And that intrigued me. And so I thought about that. I made sure that I understood that ultimately how I felt, the fact that I was my work, even though I was doing good things, was making me physically ill, was a sign to me that my energy was in the wrong place. Yeah. And for me, time is really important. So I really value the ability to schedule my own time. Very, very much so. And so that is what, and I have a couple of rules. I have to have flexible time with my engagements, with any of my jobs. Even the full-time jobs. And I also have a rule that I don't work with, we'll call them butt heads for the sake of the tender ear of your audience. I have a no butt head rule. So if you're a butt head, I don't work with you.
Okay, but sometimes you don't identify, you don't realize that they're a butt head until a little further into the project. Or do you identify that early on? Is that a skill that you have?
Yeah, it is.
Okay.
It is. So normally before I sign with you, we've met for a while. Now I might encounter, of course, there is a butthead epidemic in the world. We both know this, right? So they're everywhere. They're like bed bugs. So you can't escape them. All right. And that's fine. But I'm not going to work with you as my primary contact and have you be a butthead. That's not going to happen because I can go get money from somebody that I like. I don't have to get money from people I don't like. Okay. This ain't showgirl. So I have some choices. You see what I'm saying? And it makes me feel better. It allows me. So I don't dread going to work. I don't ever dread going to work. I don't ever dread the people that I encounter. Whereas before, when I was in corporate life, I felt that way often.
I see. Okay, so one of the questions, my final questions, and I am gonna open it up for questions. If you have a question, if you would even like to come on camera, you can actually click on one of the boxes and you can ask your question directly to Dr. Rita Fields here, or you can use the chat feature and submit your question to us both. So either way, whichever way you're comfortable with. But one of my final questions, Rita, is what key piece of advice do you have for women who aren't living the life that they deserve?
Pray.
Mm-hmm.
And start listening to yourself. I think that a lot of times women are incredibly intuitive, and we tell ourselves things all the time and we just tune them out. We tell ourselves when we're with a guy who's crazy. We tell ourselves when we need to quit a job. We tell ourselves that we shouldn't eat something, then we eat it, then our bodies have to vomit it back up or put it through any number of channels that we have to try to, rid ourselves of it. We do that a lot. And I think that in today's society that it's very easy for women to turn off that voice and to be disconnected with that voice that's within themselves. And so I would say to start paying attention to yourself. I have this thing that I don't even know where I cognizant or consciously started to do it, but I normally do not feel yucky. I'm not sad very often. I don't feel very guilty very often. I try to live a life that's very conscious and awake. And so if I'm feeling yucky, then it's tied to something. So I'm very cognizant of trying to figure out what conversation did I have or which interaction did I have that led to me feeling like that? What was I thinking about? And that's a skill that I've developed, but it's taken me years to develop it. That helps to trace what's not going well in your life. And if you start to feel yucky around certain people long enough, it's probably time to move on.
Yeah. I agree with that. I had just posted on Facebook the post about, trusting your instincts. We all have that little voice, but sometimes there's just so much noise around it. You can't even hear the voice.
Exactly. Right.
And listening to your body. I'm grateful to have a husband who gets up with the girls so I can have some quiet time in the morning to just prepare myself for the day. That's
right, girl. That's a blessing.
It is a blessing.
Yeah, you need to go kiss Mr. Robin.
That's my number one cheerleader. I love
that's
him
awesome.
But in addition to my morning devotion, sometimes I just sit and I visualize the day and how I want the day to go. I also try to visualize and kind of project what the feeling I want to go with those different tasks within my day.
Nice.
I always put a feeling with something. I'm so excited to be doing this. I'm really looking forward to doing this. I know I'm prepared to do this.
Nice.
So I kind of get my body in tune with, okay, this is what we're doing today.
Affirmations.
How we're going to feel affirmations.
Yes.
Every single, like in the dark. And that has really helped me to be more aware, because then if I'm thinking about a task that's on my calendar and I tense up, I try to counteract that.
Yes.
Head off at the past. Nope, it's gonna go great. It's not gonna be a mess.
Right.
Because I'm prepared, and if it does not go as I planned, that's okay, because then I have this or this. So, that has really helped the whole gut instinct that we all have.
Yes.
But you just have to be in tuned with it and honor and respect that voice.
Yes, I agree completely.
It has never led me wrong, ever. And when I didn't listen to it, I regretted it.
Don't you now?
You know what? Haven't we all said something told me?
Yeah, you did. You told you. That's right.
Told me not to do that. But I did anyway.
That's right. That's right.
I did it anyway. Well, at this point, everyone, we're open for questions. You can feel free. Oh, great. Here's a question. What is Dr. Rita Fields' PhD in? Would love to hear more about your success story.
Oh, wow. Yeah, a real sexy subject, business. I know. Wah. So that's from Walsh College in Troy. So that's what my doctorate is in.
And you pursued that because?
Why did I? When I was 7, I do remember having 3 dreams. I
Okay.
wanted to go. I had seen some show on TV that was talking about Venice, the city on water. And I was like, wow, that's fascinating. So I wanted to go to Venice.
Okay.
I also wanted to be a fireman. I don't know why. And for some thought, for some fleeting moment, I thought, I should get a PhD. And I don't know where it came from. But then I just figured, I should just go ahead and knock that out. I mean, I have my master's, and I said, oh, why not? I thought school's always been really easy for me. Thank God. I've been blessed with the ability to do well in school. My PhD was very different. It was very, very difficult for me to do that. It was very difficult for me intellectually. And then even once I got past it was really, really hard. I didn't realize it was going to be that hard because if I did, I don't know if I would have did it. I thought it would be like my master's, which was a breeze. It was a breeze. So yeah, and I figured that if I completed it, I would have even more options. Part of my strategy, my professional strategy has always been to allow myself to have options. So I have consulting gigs that are in all over the place. I have one that's in Thailand because I love to travel. Hello, why wouldn't I have a gig in Thailand, right? So I like having the options, and having the title of doctor opens a lot of doors for people, quite a bit. So it helps.
That is interesting. Now, one thing we didn't talk about is your consulting business.
Yes.
What services do you provide, and to who?
Yep. So business and operations consulting and HR consulting. So that's what I do. I am a coach. I'm an executive coach. And I do a lot of, but I'm very careful about the work that I take on and the clients that I work with. And I'll tell you, I started my business, it'll be 3 years in April, and I've never had any marketing type of dollars spent. All of my referrals have been word of mouth, which is absolutely awesome. And it's gone really well, really, really well. So I'm grateful for that.
Great question.
Yeah, thank you, Sarah.
I can't pronounce that. Any other questions, everyone? You can either use the chat feature there at the bottom, or you can come online using the your camera enabled device and click on one of those boxes, and I'll accept you, and you can ask your question directly to Dr. Rita Fields. Any other questions? I have like a page of notes.
Oh, good. Very good.
I have a page of notes. I really do. Now, did you attend the policy conference today?
Yeah, I was supposed to, but it snowed. So I stayed home.
Okay.
Like, I ain't going out in that for no policy conference. I mean, hey, I'm like, were they live streaming? I mean, I could have, but I'm like, were they? They did?
They live streamed the major, like the main stage.
Yes.
Yeah, so not the workshops, but like the main stage. Yeah, so like the pitch competition was live streamed.
Oh, wow. Yeah, I wanted to see who won.
You know what's bad? I don't know who won.
Oh.
I was rooting for Tatiana. And I tuned in basically just to see her presentation. But I didn't see who won, but I know that Davita was one of the judges. So
yes, I saw that.
So maybe she posted, because I think the winner has the opportunity to then pitch at Mackinac, right? Was that the prize?
Well, I don't know. I think they had all expense paid trip to Mackinac, but I didn't know there was another pitch con. That would be cool if there was. I think we have questions.
We have another question. Oh, great. We're just going on and on. What do you suggest to de-stress while at work? That's a good question, actually, because you've been in so many different roles. You have to keep stress in check. I'm sure you can't let them see you sweat.
Yeah. No, you shouldn't do that. unless
No.
you have a gland disorder. And then you can have those removed. I actually had a friend that had her sweat glands removed. It was amazing. She never sweat. I'm like, there's got to be a downside to that or something. Anyway,
Yeah.
I just found I love coloring. So I color a lot in my private life. Um,
Yeah.
that sounds really lame, but I do. Let me tell you
It,
something. It works. It helps you to zone out. And check this out. So I have an iPad. They have coloring apps for the iPad. So I was will color at work. And see, people don't think that you're coloring because you're on your iPad. You know, you have to make sure you have like this, studious look. Of course, you're not going to do it for like 8 hours a day. And if you do,
right.
then you need to really make a life plan. But if you want to take 15 minutes or so and like color, those are things that I do. Sometimes I just like to walk around and visit with people. A change of scenery. So I don't get a whole lot of stress at work anymore like I used to. But when I'm feeling tense, Pandora helps. I like listening to music. So things like that.
Mm-hmm. And some of the tools that I've used, I identify stress with not being prepared. Like I'm fearful of something if I'm stressed. So whether it be missing a deadline or not achieving something, like stress equates fear to
Yeah.
me.
Yeah.
So if if you can give yourself extra time, properly prepare. For example, my mornings can be hectic, of course, getting kids out the door and trying to get dressed. I lay out, and luckily my kids all wear uniforms to school, but
Oh.
I lay out what I'm wearing for the entire week Sunday night based on my schedule.
Oh,
So
wow.
I got this going on. I'm going to wear this. And then I'll have like a backup if I change my mind one morning. Like, so in the morning, I try to eliminate the number of decisions I need to make.
Yes, that's good. I don't lay out a whole week's worth of outfits, but I tend to pick what I'm wearing the night before and I have it hanging. So all I gotta do is grab it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
all you have to grab it. Like when I get up, I don't want it to have to be, oh, is that in the dry cleaner or where am I stuck?
That's right.
I don't want to make any decisions in the morning. Like lunches are made the night before. As much as possible is prepped the night before. Like right now, they're projecting that the schools will be closed tomorrow. So in the event that they are closed, we have like 3 options for the kids and what that looks like. But I just don't like to be hurried and rushed in general. So that's just me.
No, that's good.
We have another question. What advice would you give other women in business?
In general?
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. In general?
Other women in business. Encourage other women. I've always been very complimentary of other women, and women are very critical of themselves, and they're very critical of each other. And I don't know if women realize that they're criticized. I think sometimes a lot of women criticize other women because it makes them feel like they're okay. I don't know why they do it, but whenever I get the opportunity, if I see a woman that seems to be in that crazy place where she might be doubting herself,
yeah,
I'll just tell her, you know what, you're gorgeous and you're fabulous. In the gym, I do it because women go crazy. Anytime you wear heels, a sparkle headband, and some eyeliner at the gym, okay, you ain't supposed to be that cute at the gym, but obviously you got some other goals in mind, right? And so you look good. You look good just the way that it's the gym, right?
Right.
I mean, have you seen some of these guys in the gym? But so I focus on trying to really encourage women. So I would tell them to support other women as much as they can, because we all have different struggles. And last year I was in Lansing for Equal Pay Day, representing University of Michigan. And we were talking about the fact that women make 77 cents on the dollar. And what I like to tell people is that is the white woman's rate. Black women tend to make 67 cents and Hispanic women tend to make 57 cents. So we should be supportive of each other. Frankly, on average, Black women tend to make less than white women do. And so we need to be supportive and collaborate together. And we need to understand that we have different struggles. We're all women, but because of our ethnic background, sometimes that can add additional layers or flexibility even that aren't anticipated. So I would say support women.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
I'm not sure if I want to accept the lotion man. I am not.
Lotion man.
I'm not sure.
Lotion man. Oh
Lotion
boy.
man, what? Submit your question first.
That's an intriguing name.
Just because I don't know you, that's all. And this is a positive environment.
Yeah, maybe he's like anti, dry skin.
Ash, I don't know. Oh, he says much advice needed.
How to be positive?
Okay, so we have another question from Shoe Diva though. Can you tell us what strategies have helped you navigate through work politics? Good question.
Work politics. Yeah, there's a lot of those. So one thing that I tell people about is that I have reverse role models. So you know how you have normal role models, people you like to emulate. So for me, the reverse role models are people I never want to become. So I watch them just as much as I watch the people I want to be like, because they're freaks. And you want to make sure that you don't turn into those people. And they tend to do things differently, just like the people who are uber successful do. People who are uber crazy tend to, I teach a master's level ethics class, and I have this amazing textbook, and it talks about the fact that leaders have both light and shadow to cast. And that some leaders, it actually talks about the concept of evil leaders, and that they largely cast darkness and shadows. And so you have to watch, because I don't think that people start out that way. I think people sort of drift that way. I think some people do, but I don't think most people start out that way. So that's one thing that I do to navigate through work politics. And I also, I think it's important to be able to eat the meat and spit out the bones at work. There's a lot of ego and feather preening. There are a lot of people that are trying to get stroked at work.
Right.
And all this other stuff. And you really sort of have to keep that in mind, but you really have to find out what is really going on. So I have a good filter. I don't have a lot of tolerance for the whole ego thing, because my thing is, if you're that good, you ain't got to brag that much about it. I should be able to tell that you're good. Right. But some people don't get that affirmation from anywhere else. And so you sort of have to listen to people to find out what it is what they're really trying to say beneath what they're saying.
Yeah. So you have to zone in and kind of filter through.
Yes. Clear the smoke.
And really pay attention to their intentions. We do have, you're going to come on camera. Great, Sarah. Let me accept you here. And Sarah's going to ask her question directly to us. I'm going to give you a few moments. Sarah, I think you're coming in now.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, isn't this fun? I love it.
Yeah, it's pretty interesting.
I love it. Okay, maybe Sarah's having a few issues. I'm just waiting for her to come on.
Oh,
there she is.
Hi.
Aloha.
Hello. Thank you for joining us.
What a wonderful blab you're having. Thank you for doing this.
Oh, thank you for joining us.
Thank you to Dr. Rita Fields here. You have a question?
I have a few.
Okay.
So I was hoping you could get more into the nitty-gritties, Dr. Fields, about how you were able to transition into your goals of traveling more, reading more, writing more. Did that involve journaling, or exactly like how did you do that? And then also your ethics class, you mentioned that, and I would like to hear more about that too, if you could talk about that.
Yeah. So how did I transition into those things? So I started booking trips. So I made a commitment several years ago that every year on my birthday, I had to wake up in a different country, not travel, not be on my way back, but I have to wake up in another country.
That's awesome.
Well, yeah. And that way I'd have at least one guaranteed trip. Right.
Yeah.
And so I started with that, and it was a great goal because every year I would look forward to it. And I've done it every year since. And so I collect travel magazines and I just sort of pour through them very carefully and I plan out times when I can go. And so I started doing that. I started writing academically, largely. I've started an autobiography, but that's been more of a challenge for me to get through. I've had a really difficult upbringing, and that's probably one of the most courageous things I'm going to ultimately do. I do hope to finish it, but I've ventured into academic writing. So I write about race relations and the intersection between that and business. I also write about the history of the city of Detroit, the riot of 1967. So I ventured into that arena. I've written about millennials. I'm actually millennial friendly. I don't think millennials are like, the dark forces of this earth. I actually think they're pretty cool. Most of them. Some of them are obnoxious, just like there are some really obnoxious boomers and Gen Xers. But so yeah, I read. So I try to find books that are pleasure books and books that are in my field of study, and I'm really into audiobooks. So however I can get that stimulated, I do it, and it's really really cool. It's very fulfilling. Yes. And then the master's class. What is it that you wanted to know about that one?
You mentioned an ethics class you teach?
Yeah. Yeah. So it's ethics and leadership. And it's a master's level course in an MBA program. And it's my favorite thing to teach. We talk about all sorts of things. Obviously, ethics in our country are a very ripe subject. Let's just put it that way. And so it's great to explore those principles and values with people and to sort of challenge the things that we believe. And I teach the way that I am now. So I tend to be very interactive. And so it's pretty engaging. So it's a good thing. It's a good thing.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Sarah, for tuning in. I appreciate it.
Yeah, I see all those books back there. Bibliophile. Yeah, you hanging. Ooh, I love books. Yes.
Busy.
Wish I could see the titles. Okay, never mind. I feel like I'm like
You're so funny. Are there any other questions? We're going to be wrapping up in a few moments. So how can people keep in contact with you? Yeah.
Oh.
Or stay connected or find out more information.
So I'm on Twitter. And I have a private profile. So I had to do that because someone was like impersonating me. It was so strange. Very strange. So I had to lock my stuff down. So that's one way. I'm also on LinkedIn, so we can connect that way. And yeah, I connect with a lot of people actually. And so I try to be open and helpful when people ask me questions, and I'm always honest. I can promise you that. So yeah, I think those are two good ways.
Great. So everyone, you can find her on LinkedIn. Is probably, would you say that's the preferred way?
Sure. Yeah.
All right. Okay. Okay. So final question, Shoe Diva. Can you share some of your short and or long-term goals that we can look forward to? Okay. So what's on the horizon for the rest of 2016 going into 2017? Let's kind of focus in on short term.
Okay, short term. So I'm getting married in April. Yay! Yeah. And I am this year for my birthday, I'm going to wake up in, it's either London or Paris. I can't remember which. Yes. So I'm doing that. I'm going to go back to Thailand at the end of April also. I'm a dissertation advisor and he is graduating. So I get to see my dissertation person graduate, one of my little academic babies, which is pretty awesome. I am doing a lot of speaking. I'm speaking at a few events in Washtenaw County.
Okay.
Actually, I'm being honored for Women's Month in March by Career Mastered, which is Lisa Wicker's group, Dr. Lisa Wicker's group. So I'm really excited about that. There's some really cool honorees there. So that's happening in March. I'm delivering a talk on millennials for SHRM in May. And there's something else going on. I can't remember. I've got a few things going on. So I'm grateful and happy. And I hope that you have found some level of advice during this blab to help you to live the life that you want for yourselves. And don't be afraid, and don't listen to people that try to tell you can't do it. You can absolutely do it.
Wonderful. Okay, so everyone, as you can hear and see, she has a lot going on, and I'm so happy that she agreed to join us this evening on Motor City Woman Wednesdays. And you can check back every Wednesday at 8:30. You can find me online on my Facebook page, Motor City Woman, on Twitter, Motor City Woman, on Instagram, Motor City Woman. Or if there's a woman that you would like me to profile, if you're a woman yourself that would like to be profiled, email me. My email address is hello@motorcitywoman.com. That is hello@motorcitywoman.com. I'm always looking to connect and collaborate with dynamic women. As Rita said, it's all about encouraging other women, and that's really one of my mantras, is encouraging other women, women supporting women movement. That's really how we're gonna move forward. So I again want to thank Rita for joining us this evening.
Yay! Thank you for having me. Yay!
I had as much fun as I knew I would. I was like, oh, this is about to be a riot.
That's right. And I'll see you on Saturday.
I know, and I'll see you on Saturday. Also, everyone, I didn't say this in my intro, but Rita has a TED Talk that is on YouTube.
Yes.
So go check out her TED Talk. You know, Dr. Rita Fields TED Talk on YouTube. Go check that out. It's really interesting. You can learn more about her personal journey. If you'd like to learn more about her, that's a great way to kind of start, so you can really get a feel for things that we didn't touch on as much this evening. So again, thank you for tuning in. I'm going to leave you with the words that really started me on my journey, and that I keep on my nightstand. Is a quote from Sylvia High, who is a transformation coach. And as I was starting and launching Motor City Woman, I did have a lot of fear, and really a lot of daily fear almost, and stepping out and saying that, yes, I can do this. Not only that, but I deserve a life, you know,
that's right. Yes.
That makes me want to jump up out of bed every morning, which this life does. So that quote is, each morning you rise, you are gifted with two powerful things: the power of choice and the fact that you are unlimited. Each morning we have that gift. So I will leave that with you, everyone. Again, if you want to contact me, Robin Kinnie, it's hello@motorcitywoman.com. I'll see you here next Wednesday and every Wednesday here on blab.im, or you can jump on over to my Facebook page and we can continue this conversation on Motor City Woman fan page. Thanks again, Rita.
Thank you.
Bye,
Bye,
everyone.
everybody.
Bye, everyone.